Hi, AfterBuzzers. We're remembering when our boys became men here on the Family Reunion After Show. Stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey, AfterBuzzers, welcome back to the Family Reunion After Show. We're talking episode 10. Remember when our boys became men. But before I, talk into our topics, I'm going to introduce my lovely co-host. She is still the queen of the chicken head dance, Miss Zakiyyah.
Wilbert. I'm here.
She here. I'm your host, Chae Jones, and we have a very special guest. You might recognize him as Kurt, Mr. Camaron Engels.
How you doing? What?
J-Lo in the back with that sound effect. I love it. So guys, today we're gonna get into the Jade, Drew, Kurt triangle. We're gonna talk about Coco and Moses. Double dating game night.
Okay.
And Mazzi and Shaka and them learning as boys now to become men on living while black in this country.
True.
So we're going to start off talking about the Jade, Drew, and Kurt situation.
Alrighty. Let's do it.
So, Jade and Ava are just hanging at her house when Miss Renee comes through, and she is, Renee, the Miss T.
Yes, Miss T.
She has all the tea.
She got all the tea.
Sips
and
She sips it.
With the pinky up. You feel me?
Because she knows all the information. She was just hanging at the Piggly Wiggly, minding her own business.
Yes.
It happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. She got it quote down. The Piggly Wiggly. Those are my favorite too. It happens.
I mean, that's actually my favorite line that she said. Because they both like kind of since when? She was like, it happens. It's been known to happen,
I could be different.
And she overhears Drew talking to his boys, wanting to ask Jade out to go bowling. Mm-hmm. And within an instant, it happens. Drew texts her to go bowling, and she's so excited. But Ava, you don't like bowling. But it's with Drew. So that makes it better. And then her parents come out, and her mom's super excited, and her dad's, again, agreeing with Ava. She doesn't like bowling. But her mom's like, it's with Drew. Yeah. And that's like, that's when you find puppy love, your first crush, you do things for that other person that you don't technically like.
Yeah.
Because you want to impress them and you want to, just spend time with them.
Yeah, right. Everything is exciting, no matter what it is.
Right. Yes. And I think we were waiting for this moment. Like, Drew and Jade were meant to have this moment. Yeah. So everyone's so excited. Yeah. Like, oh my God, Jade, finally Drew and you are going out. I mean, they had their little instant with their sisters, but obviously that didn't last for too long.
No, he got that switch.
He switched real fast.
So, I mean, at this moment, it was something that everyone was excited for. Even me. I'm like, yes, girl, what are you going to wear?
Yeah.
What are you going to wear?
The dad knew what he was going to wear.
Right.
You remember that? He said, I'm going to go pick out my outfit.
Right.
So I can follow him.
So I can follow him. See what
because that's a dad's prerogative.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, sir.
So we are introduced to Kurt by Medea. Medea, as you know, she has Jade helping her snap beans, as she likes to say, the old folks Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
That is a black family ritual, especially my family. I was always on the porch snapping beans. So with yes.
I cook with my family all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I'm always snapping peas. Mm-hmm. Always doing something. Cutting potatoes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Doing something. Yeah, no, it was peeling potatoes, doing everything. No, I was definitely. I love cooking with family.
Shout out to the family reunion for always keeping the culture alive. Yes. Shout out
because they're especially this episode particularly is very. It's very family oriented, but also what it means when something kind of triggers your family in a negative way, how you come together.
Yeah.
And you're there for each other no matter what.
Yeah. There's these themes throughout the show, like the entire show. I feel like every single episode addresses something that I was even surprised about. Mm-hmm. Like they had an episode that addressed religion. And, that, to me, I watched that with like my mom, we're watching, we're like, wow, they're really talking about Hinduism and Buddhism and, talking about things that Southern families and black families don't really talk about. We believe in Jesus, you know what I mean? And so I actually related to that because I come from a family that believed in Hinduism. Okay. My grandmother meditates and my mom was raised that way too, but I also was introduced to God. If you look on our altar with all the gurus and, Krishnas and Gandhis and Paramahansa Yoganandas in the middle, there's actually Jesus. And there's many stories where a lot of these prophets and people followed a lot of the things that he did. And so at the end of the day, like I like to say, we're all a collective conscious. We're all, you know, seeking love, and we all follow wherever makes us feel, you know, safe at night. But yeah, I really was blown away when I read the episode. I was like, whoa, I thought this was just you know, a love triangle, a little cutesy thing. And then I read it and I was like, and the little guys are dealing with this? I'm like, but it's real, just like we were talking about, you know.
It's very real. Yeah. And, you know, she meets Kurt. He comes over to the house and your little fedora and your glasses.
Yeah.
His little corny jokes.
How you guys doing?
And it's like, I'm a hugger, which I don't know. I love that, though. It actually made me, like Kurt as a character a lot more.
Yeah.
It made me cringe a little bit.
Wow,
It's
really?
okay. No,
Not in a bad way.
No,
it was
fine.
like, because he was like, oh, I'm a hugger.
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
like, oh.
You're like, some people don't like to be like, well, okay, I'm not.
I
you know
love
what I mean?
hugs, but it was just like the way he did it. I was like, oh, he's cute, but it's overbearing.
I got up in the hug.
Yeah.
It's one of those personal space things. I'm like trying to figure it out, but it's all about the love. So that's what came across.
Yeah, and so, you know, Madeir and Jeb are about to, you know, go see a friend's baby, and like Mo's talking about the baby and how the baby looks. The baby is Morgan Freeman looking, but is an actual girl. That's fun. But I like the little moment Jade and Kurt had on the porch where they're telling terrible jokes to each other. That was so cute.
I love that part. That part I fell in love. I'm like, oh, guys.
Yeah.
It was adorable. It's kind of like that Urkel moment, the Urkel moment.
Yeah. That was exactly what that was, honestly. It was one of the characters that was on the show. He's
actual Urkel.
Is actual Urkel, Jaleel White. Yeah, he played Urkel on the show. He plays Eric, I believe, on the show. And I actually got to talk to him before I even did my first scene. I saw him they were shooting their stuff before me, and I didn't even know he was going to be on the episode. So I walked on and I was like, is that Urkel? And I was like, wait, I can't say that. I cannot say that.
Yeah.
Is that's Jaleel White? I was like, what?
I was
like, and he looks like yeah. You know what I mean? But it's just like, I was like, man. I was like, I gotta go talk to him. So I went to go talk to him, and I told him about my character, and we really he sat down and gave me some great advice about, you know, how the idea of a nerd now is totally different than what it was when he was a nerd. You know what I mean? The caricature of it, the like over the top kind of even minstrel show version of, you know what I mean? If you take it back that far, you know, even with him, he said back then it was a character. It was a big over the top, like, do all these things, then I do that, like, you know what I mean? But with this character, he said you have the opportunity to take this nerd and make him something more complex, especially as a black man. You have the opportunity with this show. We've got black directors, we've got black producers, we've got black writers, a black just show, you know what I mean? Which is a privilege. And so I got to take that opportunity and really take in what he said and look at this character and not just make him what's going on over here? You know what I mean? Like, I got to make him who he was. He was a proud nerd. You know what I mean? Yes. There was nothing that he was ashamed about. He was the champion in chess.
Yes.
Okay, he taught her everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I love about him, especially was his confidence besides Drew. Like, Drew was so like, oh my God, you're with this guy. Like, he was more like, hey, how you doing? Let me go get you something to drink. Yeah. I'll be back.
He's a gentleman, you know what I mean?
Exactly. And I love that. And I think that's why the girls fall for you, because your confidence, like, you're confident in who you are. So
thank you. You remember when he was like, oh, you think I'm cute?
And she was like, stop fishing. I'm not going to say it again.
I won't fish again. Sorry. Yeah, no, I felt like that.
That was awesome. And, you know, you ended up at Pretty Boys because the grandparents were not leaving you alone at their house whatsoever.
The skirt.
So, you know, you're playing chess, and, you know, that's when Drew, you know, takes the step in, just like, who is this guy talking to a girl I like? Yeah. And, you know, you go off to get the refills, and then he becomes a little colder towards Jade, and kind of with encouragement from his friends to break off their date.
Yeah. It's cold.
It was really cold. What were your thoughts, Zakiyyah, on that scene?
I was just like, wow, like, I had high hopes for you, and you really let me down. You really let me down. Yeah. And I was upset because you just let your friends control the atmosphere. You're not a true, I guess, boy, because they're boys at this point. But you're not a true boy. Yeah. I mean, hopefully he'll grow into a man.
Of course.
I was disappointed.
Yeah.
I was disappointed in him, too. It really... I was like, this is not the Drew we've come to know. So to see him flip that switch because he's around his friends, versus actually taking a step back and realizing that I'm actually saying I like you, versus whatever we were becoming, and now you're just putting a button because your friends are there.
But can we talk about this? Did Jade actually start feeling you? Because when she did, when Drew came up, she was sort of like, this is Drew.
Yeah, you know, I noticed. You know, I mean, Kurt was just in the moment. I was just, you know, oh, who's this guy? You know what I mean? Oh, okay. Well, I like meeting people. I kind of wanted to, you know, go back to playing chess, but I mean, if we're going to introduce people, I might get some drinks. Like, that's really how my character is. At least that's how I played him. And so, but me, you know, when I saw that and I was watching it, you know, from the outside, I was kind of like, oh okay, well, maybe she does have like a little thing from, cause she was hesitant, you know what I mean? She was a little bit like, this is Drew? Like, you know, if there is a thing, you know, it'd be like, oh, this is Drew, like, you know, guy I'm talking to, friend or something like that, you know what I mean? But
I feel like it could be part that and part just her, because she doesn't have, I don't think, that much experience with guys. She didn't also recognize that it could be an awkward situation.
Yeah, and just like I didn't.
And she's just thinking, I am just here playing chess with a friend, my grandmother's grandson.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, weird about it. It's just what's happening in time.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And it also could be that, you know, they're still trying to figure their stuff out, Drew and her. And so for her to even label it as anything may be too much of a push, you know what I mean? Yeah. For her to be like, oh, this is my, whatever thing is a thing, and then she doesn't want to make it seem too small, so she's like, this is Drew, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be totally, and plus, to me, honestly, Jade's character is like, I think she is like that, you know, she comes from like a strong family, a family that's like, she would speak up. She's already done in other episodes, you know, where she's protested and like, you know, stood up for what she stands for. So I don't think she would be somebody that's like hesitant.
That's true.
Yeah.
But again, like, boys just make you think different, though. Boys
that
make
is
you...
true. Especially at from 14.
You guys do that to us, you know what I mean? It's fair game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Double-edged sword.
Oh my.
Am I really close again?
Cool. We're just gonna let that slide. Before we jump into our next topic, Miss Zakiyyah has some information she wants to share with you guys.
I do, guys. Obviously, we love what we do. I mean, we have great guests like yourself here.
Thank you.
Yes. And thank you for making us the ESPN of TV Talk. If you want to hear more and help us grow, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Gives us thumbs ups. And then also make sure you give us 5 stars on iTunes. And we'll continue to show up on your screens and come into your ears and give you all of what we know about TV Talk.
Well, because we know a lot about TV Talk.
A lot.
They do.
Especially
know this stuff.
Giving our next topic. We have Miss Coco. Mr. Moles, and we have 2 new characters, Katrina and Eric. And guys, we talk about TV. Let's talk about the black excellence that is in this scene right now. We have Miss Tempest from The Cosby Show playing Katrina, and Jaleel White playing Eric. Now, those are 2 amazing shows from Family Matters that Jaleel did to Cosby Show, which changed a lot of just black history in the TV cinematic world in and of itself. It changed a lot of barriers in TV. And then you also have it with Tia Mowry, who did Sister Sister.
Yes.
And come on now.
Go home, Roger.
Yes.
Go home, Roger.
Yes.
So,
oh my God,
which might be Elvis at this point.
True.
Go home, Elvis.
Go home, Elvis.
And you know, it was just amazing to first see them all together in one place, because also Tia and Samara also did a little bit on Family Matters as twins. They used to do promos together with Jaleel. So also to see them all grown up now on this show is just amazing. So Coco and Moles are having their, adult night, and they have their friends over, Katrina and Eric, for game night, and they're all a little bit competitive. Starts from $50 to we end up at the total of $200 at a game of Pictionary to make it, interesting. Mm-hmm. And we definitely get to see how Moles and Coco work as a team versus Katrina and Eric.
Right.
Where Katrina and Eric are super in sync. She got Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone off of a line. I wouldn't have got that.
I had to watch it a couple times to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I was watching like a signal, a hand, because man, if I find somebody that I'm in sync with, man, anything is possible.
Right?
I thought they cheated.
Man,
I'm like, they cheated. No.
You remember when they were like, oh yeah, we we've been here a couple times. You know, how many times? 6 times? How many times you guys win? 6 times?
I'm
Okay,
like, they're
cool.
cheating.
Okay, yeah, no.
They ain't right.
Or maybe they're just like, I mean, some couples are that freakily in tune with each other where
It could be.
they
Maybe we
could
haven't
just
gotten
work
that
that
yet.
way.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
haven't
But
gotten that
obviously,
yet.
Negative. No.
but obviously, Coco and Moles are on a different wavelength during game night. They Moles couldn't get basketball diaries, and you know they each say they have a wink, link, and a partner when it comes to that. And then they end up going out again to Pretty Boys.
Yeah.
To play trivia to get out of the house because of our next topic. And Katrina and Eric are very supportive, and they're just like, "Are you guys ready?" They're so excited to get into a game of trivia. I think maybe they're just game heads, and like that's the one thing that really draws and brings them together so much. Drew, kind of reminds me of the movie Game Night, like Rachel McAdams and Jason's character, how they did it.
All right.
They were just so in tune where they could just get it real quick. So that's where it comes from. But we learned that out of 15 couples that played trivia night, Moles and Coco came in dead last. Now, Zakiyyah, that was you and your partner. How would you feel coming in dead last out of 15?
First of all, I am competitive, so I would have blamed it on the other. I'm like, this is your fault.
Always.
You did not practice. But
Always.
honestly, what I did love about this episode, it just shows the dynamics of relationships. I mean, you don't have to be completely in sync. Like, I don't have to know what you're talking about to still have a good connection with my husband or wife or whatever. So I think that that's what I gathered from it. I'm like, relationship comes in all different shapes and sizes, and hey, that was theirs, and they have a amazing relationship throughout the entire season. So, but still, I would have blamed him. I just said, you're horrible. It's your fault.
It's
not mine.
And it's like they said, like even though we're games together aren't our thing, when it matters most, we are always on the same wavelength. We are always in sync. When it comes to their family, they are never off script.
Never.
They're always on that same page of what is best for their family.
Yeah.
And that's just great to see just on television again. Like family reunion seriously always reminds of like Cosby shows, Family Matters, Hanging with Mr. Cooper. It brings those vibes back that we grew up on to show a new generation what it also means to be a black family in America.
Yes.
Let's just be real.
No, let's be very real. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a lot of shows like that. You know, when we do have shows like that, like Blackish and Grownish and Dear White People, things that really show and voice how black people really feel. It should be a given, and it's getting there. But I truly, it makes me happy and it makes me hopeful. And being on a show like this, truly, I mean, we haven't even got to talk about like the real stuff yet. But even with what we've talked about, that and alone made me over the moon, like honored to have even been able to have my name in the same list as all of these people who are putting these messages out, representing something that's true, showing a strong black family, because they do exist.
Yeah, strong black lead hashtag. Thank you so much also for Netflix for creating that hashtag.
Yes.
And they're also killing it with When They See Us, which was nominated for 16 Emmy nominations.
Yes.
Shout out.
But also speaking of When They See Us, also flows into Shaka and Mazzi's storyline this episode. So Mazzi and Shaka, they want a new PlayStation, and they're just expecting their parents to give them money. But the grandparents are like, oh, no. You know what I had to do? I had to earn it. And, so Coco's like, you know what? If you guys earn half the money, we'll take care of the other half of that PlayStation for you.
Reasonable. I think that's reasonable.
It's reasonable, and you're in Georgia, so there are a lot of grasses that you can cut too. I mean, it's just different. I would say,
no, it's true though. It's true though, because if you don't even think about it like that, you're like, man. When they said Mulan, I was like, I mean, I have heard of that, but where I was from, like, is that even fair, Mom? And I was like, oh, but they're in Georgia,
right?
So you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm from Illinois. Possible. We had to do that.
Yeah.
Snow, shovel the snow out.
Snow.
I did that when I went to college on the East Coast. That was the first time I had to deal with that, and that's crazy. To wake up, you got to put that on the alarm. That's an extra 15, 20 minutes, man.
To get to your destination.
To get down the street to get some cookies.
Yes.
Which is what I got when I was in Boston. That's what I did in college, y'all.
He loves cookies, ladies, so,
Grandma cookies.
Grandma
cookies. Okay.
Tell me
Take
I'm
it
lying.
back.
Tell me I'm lying.
No,
Or snickerdoodle cookies, like homemade snickerdoodle cookies.
Snickerdoodles are bomb.
Oh
bomb.
my gosh,
They're
just
good.
cinnamon. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I took it way off topic. Excuse
We're like,
me.
I'm like, dang, I can really go for some food right now.
Yeah.
But to, yes. But to get right back on topic, so that they started mowing yards, and they run into Elvis Mayberry, and he confronts them because they're stealing his business, his Elvis Mayberry landscape. It just sounds so fancy when he does it, when he says it like that.
Wow.
And he's like, why don't we just come together and we can have our own family business? He's like, come on down and call the brothers-in-law. I was just like,
Bro, it was catchy though.
It was catchy.
It was catchy though,
catchy.
and he is a businessman with his brothers. You feel me? That's another lesson right there.
well, because he wants to marry Jade. If that's gonna
Right.
happen, I have no
well, see,
clue.
Elvis is
that
probably gonna
might be his underlying plan. But we want to look at this as black brothers helping each
Yes.
other
Let's
in
look
a
at it like
business.
that.
He's a young Nipsey. He's a young
Yes.
Nipsey. He's
Yes,
working,
and we need
you know?
more young Nipseys
We
in
need
this
a
world.
lot more. Shout out, rest in peace, Nipsey, for real, man.
And so after they make a lot more money than they expected, they come back to the house and nobody's there. So they start searching for that extra key so they can get in.
Yeah.
So they're not just waiting outside when they are shown with guns in their faces by 2 local police officers in Columbus, and then also put in handcuffs in front of the house. So that's how Moles and Coco finds them from where they were coming from, and it was hard to watch, and I'm pretty sure for the actors who play Mazzi and Shaka, it was probably a little bit hard for them to come to terms with at the same time.
Yeah.
And so when Moles shows the cop his ID, he's like, "Oh, Moles McKellen, you're awesome." It was like the whole thing shifted, and he acted like it didn't happen, like he wasn't wrong. And then he hands Moles the money back that the boys made, and he tells him that he should ask them where they got it.
Yeah.
And he tells them that they got it from mowing their yards. Oh, and the cop just said was, "Oh, good for them."
Good for them. The little wink as well.
Right?
At the end. Nah, man.
I'm sorry. It was so crazy. And then the next part of that scene is they're in the house. Mose calls the chief of police to talk to him about the situation because he didn't like it. And Mazzi, he asks, and it's just so heartbreaking when you hear it, because he just says, police officers are supposed to be the good guys, right? Why did they think we were the bad guys?
And I think we see this way too often in our community, obviously. We have numerous names that we can go through. And I'm glad they touched on this aspect of just being black in America and them being super young and have to experience something so traumatic, and you can see how it affected them as young boys. They didn't want to go back outside. They slept with their parents. They were totally different. And I don't think like a lot of us actually, if you haven't seen it from like someone experiencing it, do you actually think like what happens after if they live? Because honestly,
they're not the same.
A lot don't.
And so, and just to see how the cops looked at them and portrayed them as
And they're boys.
men. Said we see men around, and we're stopping you.
That was the word
boys.
that got me. That when Coco came up and she said we got a response that there have been some robberies by some men in the neighborhood, and Coco is like, they're boys. They are not over the age of 11.
No.
How do you see a man here?
What is it for you, like in being a black man in America? How important was the scene for you, and like, what do you want to tell someone like Mazzi and Shaka?
Well, we actually got to talk and sit down in one of the trailer rooms after they did the scene, and I actually was standing on the outside, like behind the camera, watching, just because of the fact that this was such a powerful scene, and they are so young. Isaiah and Camaron are they're young boys, and it's crazy. It seems crazy maybe to some people to think that boys that young would be caught in a situation like that, but I myself have been caught in a situation like that for something that was simply just standing in a place that I didn't even know was the wrong place. You know what I mean? Being with a couple of guy friends, and then it just turns into like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys doing this? And, you want to feel safe, And for me, seeing this episode in a whole, and also just the ending with the boys, like, it made me, again, proud to be on this show, but I don't want stories like this to have to be told all the time. And I would love, I mean, it's going to be told because it's life and it's the truth. And I think it needs to be because people need to be aware of what's going on and to know that stuff like that happens to little boys that look just like their little boys. And the only difference is that the tone of their skin is a little bit darker. And to know that how would you feel if that was your kids? You know what I mean? How would you feel if that was your son? And I think it's important to do that. But at the same time, just like when they see us, just like any movie that we put out, it's important. But I want to have a long period of time in this life when I'm alive where I'm a black man that is able to walk around safely. You feel me? Not have to look around my shoulder, not have to worry about how I talk, not have to worry about that my son is gonna be endangered once I have a kid, or my daughter, or you know what I mean, or just stuff that everyday people should be able to just walk around and have human rights and feel safe. Like, I want a period of time where we just have stories of positive things happening and not stories of these horrible killings and like discrimination, you know? And so it is very important that this episode was out. I think it is needed, and I love knowing that so many of my friends messaged me. They're like, man, like, I can't believe they're talking about this stuff on this show and like doing it with little kids. Like, this is so important. But at the same time, I'm trying to have a whole family show where it's, you know, real life stories, real life things, but things that relate to everybody. And it isn't just police brutality that's exclusive to our race or, you know, discrimination exclusive to us. I want it to be everybody thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and even Jeb, he comes home with a new PlayStation for the boys. And, Amelia asked him, is that okay? And he said, I want to give them the chance to be children a little bit longer. Because
that's facts.
Something like this does a little bit destroy your innocence a little bit, because you're waking up to the cruelty of the world in a different way than when you look at it as a child.
There's a real reality check. And then the parents had to give them the realest reality check, which was even harder for them. Yeah. But I think at the end of the day, you know, they are little boys, and they've seen enough, and they learned enough, you know, and so
they needed that.
They needed that. They needed that. And PlayStation is awesome. Shout out Call of Duty. It's my favorite game. I play it all the time. Add me.
I totally agree with you though. And I really want to see more shows where our living while black isn't something that people see as a threat.
Yeah,
because we're not a threat. Somehow I don't think my skin color is going to jump on you.
No.
It doesn't rub off.
It doesn't. I think people want our skin color. You know what I'm saying? This is a natural glow.
Well, I mean, we experienced that a little bit in episode 8 when, you know, the Haven Cheeks tried to Afrocentric herself a little bit more in a way. And it's been happening in our culture a lot. That's how, you know, even Amelia said the actual king of rock and roll is Chuck Berry.
Yes.
Which is very true. We know it. Like, a lot of our culture is taking and being turned around for white society to be accepted versus just accepting it for what it is and what it should be.
Yeah. And it's welcome to everybody. Yeah. First of all, it's music. I mean, nobody was saying that this is exclusive to anybody. We're just saying we relate to it. This is our lives. If you're going to sing about it, dance to it, just respect it. Exactly. And that's the same thing with everything.
Exactly.
All of our culture. I think all culture should be shared with everyone. We're a collective conscious. We are just put in different places on this world, and we're figuring it out along the way, but we should be able to share everything and just respect it.
Yes.
Respect
like
it.
The biggest
No
rule.
culture vultures. No
respect.
culture vultures. Just respect it.
Just respect.
And don't also tell us what blackness is, because unless you are the color, you cannot tell me what my blackness is.
And that's why I like your character, because as a young boy, you're like not the stereotypical black boy. Like he's not playing football. He's not running around the court. And
he's a sports champion at chess.
And he plays the violin.
Yes, and I play the violin.
Exactly, and he's proud.
Yeah, and he's not ashamed of it. That's what I loved about this character.
Yeah.
And that's actually what I talked to the director about, Robbie, Countryman.
Oh, I love Robbie.
We talked about, you know, don't be ashamed in your game. Don't be ashamed in what you do. And, you know, when I was doing some of the takes, you know, we get different tries, you know what I mean? That's acting. We get different tries.
Especially on the multi-cam comedy.
Yeah, you definitely get different tries, which I'm very appreciative of. Very, you know what I mean? Even, not that I'm saying I don't get it the first time.
Right.
but just for fun.
Right.
You feel me? Just for fun. But yeah, you know, there were some takes, and he was like, yeah, you know, you don't need to be ashamed of that. Like, you are very proud that you play chess. Like, at first I was like, oh, yeah, you know, I play chess. And it's like, no. You're the chess champion, bro. Mm-hmm. You better sit there proud and be like, yes, sir, I am the king at chess, and I taught you everything you know. Yes. So.
And it's like Zakiyyah says, Kurt is very much a gentleman. On our last after show for episode 9, we're talking about why can't there be more gentlemen in the world? Yes. Like like Jeb was to Amelia. Yes. Why is it this now generation is losing some of that old school charm when it comes to courting someone?
The chivalry, you know what I mean? Open the door. Just because you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why not?
Not because you have to.
Not because you have to, because you want to. You know
but your charm might get you in trouble.
Oh, as we discover, because not only did Jade realize she liked you also apparently, I'm still trying to, I need to figure out how that worked. Ava, you know Ava as well.
How did you?
Okay, so see.
What happened was.
Okay.
What had happened was,
Explain.
You know, it was nighttime. I had just come from a chess, you know, club group. It was about 5 hours. I came outside. You know, I thought I saw Jade, and you know, when she was like, "So we're on our date," I was like, "Yes," but it ended up being Ava.
Her friend.
You
feel me?
You got braids and curls mixed up.
No, but see. What had happened was that it was so dark. That's what I'm saying. I was tired. I was exhausted. Right. I hadn't had, you know, my blood pressure gets high. I didn't drink enough juice. You know, it was a lot. It was a lot. And so when I got there, it was. I thought we were all friends. Okay. You know what I mean? I think we were all friends.
How many hours in a day did you have to see Ava and Jade?
In the same day?
No, listen. See, we just had such a natural bond. Right. You feel me? There was such a natural and I really wasn't looking at it as anything other than just,
throw 'em away.
You know, hey, how about we play chess? How about we get some soda pop? Okay. You feel me? Mm-hmm. Some soda pop, some chess. We have fun and we call it a day. And it just so happened to be that they kind of saw it another way. And of course Kurt would not purposely play them. Come on now.
Okay.
Come on now.
We'll have to see obviously for part 2.
He likes a little bit of attention.
He's a chess player, so he's trying to figure out what's working for him.
Oh.
You feel me?
So he's playing chess with Ava and Jade.
We're gonna find out for part 2 of season 1.
We're just gonna have to find out and see.
We're gonna wrap how this episode ends because Moles and Coco gets pulled over by the cop from their house, and Coco has decided that she will not let herself be intimidated, and she wants to move them away from Georgia. And so that is the cliffhanger that we're left on in the first part of the season. It's just going to be interesting to see how part 2 is going to be, obviously, because that is a major bomb. And now to uproot your children, I just don't see how that also would be good for them.
Yeah.
So fast.
Yeah.
From the problem.
Yeah.
Instead of fighting for your right to stay.
But that's fighting, like, almost like placing your life in jeopardy as well. Because what are you going to do, like she said, if he goes too far?
Yeah.
Yeah, but fighting isn't going to teach them anything either.
But he threatened them. Like, I'm with Coco. Like, my family is everything.
I mean, it's different. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can go about it, but
I'm recording everything.
Sadly, this is a world where and it's been proven years after years after years after years, that you have the freedom to stand up for yourself. You have the freedom to go against the system, but it does not always turn out in a nice light. There are many of our leaders who have died, been assassinated. Like, this isn't just they lived their entire lives while fighting for what they wanted to fight for. People are really taking people out, and people are really trying to make life harder for people. So I get it, but at the same time, I get this, that you want to teach your family that we don't just run away because someone doesn't like us here or they feel threatened by us, especially when we're not in the wrong. So, you know, I think they're strong enough of a couple. I think they have proven to be, a force that I think whatever decision happens in season 2 is going to be a good one.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
And for Mr. Cameron, we're going to talk a little bit about you. So you also studied in London at the London School of Arts.
Oh, yo, wow, I feel like this is Nardwar. Like, you guys know about me. This is crazy.
Now, how is that? Obviously, because being in a different country, but also studying, I think, in a different way. You're acting in a different way than you would in the States.
Yeah, it was cool. Shout out to Boston University. Thank you guys very much for that. It was during my junior year. I was studying at Lambda, and I was studying classical theater, which is totally different than television and film. But also, what I was doing at Boston University was theater. So that's a totally different world than being on set. But in a way, it's very similar to a live studio audience because you've got people really reacting to what you're doing. You're really feeding off of their energy and the people there. It's not just like a quiet on set and like drop into the scene and like you got to create that world around you and stuff. So for me, going to London was awesome because one, I knew what I was going to get certified in, which was amazing. I got to get certified in unarmed and armed combat.
Yeah, that was part of mine too.
Yeah, I got to learn about the rapier and daggers and learn how to kick somebody's butt just in case somebody wants to get, across the phone.
And especially in London where, Shakespeare has made it happen.
I also got certified in my British accents, my pronunciation, so that was also something I had to do. And I pull this out every now and then when I want to find a nice gal.
Nice.
Thank you for the claps. Thank you. Thank you. But no, I honestly had the best time of my life while I was in London. It was a totally different world. It was a totally different culture. It was a culture shock. Literally, the first thing I saw was a table with an Indian, an Ethiopian, a white person, and an Asian person at a table, literally eating crumplets and tea at high noon, and they were all happy as can be. And there was no, oh, you're black, oh, you're this. I didn't feel black while I was there. I just felt like I was a different person. And on top of that, just comfort just made me even more comfortable to just see myself as a British person, see myself in that lifestyle, to like go to the Royal Shakespeare Company, to have my own pass and see Richard III and Henry V and see the whole cycle. And that whole experience was totally different. It was my first time going out of the country. And so that, on top of everything else, was huge. But I learned so much, and it really did help me with acting because I'm trying to be the next Will Smith, the next Denzel, the next person that can be multi-talented and do every role. I'm not held to one thing, and that's why I went to college to get that education and get these tools.
Well, I think you're going to be the next Camaron Engels.
You know what? And I was going to say that last. I'm the next Camaron Engels. Remember that.
You guys can also check him out on Malibu Rescue,
the
movie, and Malibu Rescue, the series on Netflix. He plays a little bit of a...
little bully. I'm a little bit of a bully.
I was going to say Malibu snob. I was going to be nice about it.
Yes, Malibu snob, but he's definitely a little bit of a bully. But he's not the smartest bully either, you know what I mean? He thinks he's more clever than he actually is, and he's just like a notch below Brody. But he's definitely a Malibu snob. We don't do any valley dudes here, so if you're not from the Boo, then...
You're not from the Boo. Like, she might be from the Boo, but she might
be from the Boo, but she's not from the Boo.
That is also a line from the movie, one of my favorites that he says, actually.
Oh, yes. It's true, and I kept saying that to everyone. They'd be like, oh, it's really nice to meet you. I was like, yeah, I know it's nice to meet me, but... You're not really from the Boo, so if you're not from the Boo, then you're really not from the Boo.
And you had a scene with Lee Allen Baker from Disney Channel's Good Luck Charlie, and I just love her comedic-wise. She's amazing.
Hey, look at my Instagram. I have a picture with her. I don't do that often because I try to keep it professional. But when I saw her, I was like, I freaked out. I was like, yo, can I get a picture, please, before you leave? It is nighttime, please. She's like, oh, yeah, of course. It was so hard for me to, like, be my character to her daughter, you know what I mean? I was like, man, I want her to like me. We got to be friends at the end of the day. No, but she was great. It was cool. It was cool.
We're going to jump into some news and gossip.
Oh, yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Okay, guys, so I have some news. So our boys who have unfortunately became men way too early are actually celebrating the Lion King with the young Nyla and Simba.
Yes.
They look super happy. I mean, that's JD who plays Simba, and there is Shahadi who plays the young Nyla. So check out the Lion King. It's out. Check it out.
Yes. Yes, I still haven't seen it, but I'm going to go see it. I'm actually waiting with some friends to go see it.
We're all definitely gonna see this because it's definitely a part of our childhood that is now out in live action form.
Yes.
We're gonna get into some quick predictions for you guys.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Miss Zakiyyah, you wanna start us off?
I predict we're gonna see a little bit more of you in this one, this little love triangle, and I think you're gonna stir some mess up. You're stirring it up. I mean, not intentionally, but you're stirring it up.
I predict that Moles and Coco are gonna stay and fight, and I definitely predict Kurt might be around for you because he's moving there, so he has to be around a little bit to see how the whole Jade Drew Kurt triangle ends up.
Yeah.
Can you make a prediction or no? You're gonna just say.
We'll have to see.
Good ending.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into our family reunion after show part 1 of season 1. We're gonna be back for season 2 very, very soon.
Wow. Whoa, let's go. Hold up. Let's just round of applause for that, yo. For real. This is amazing. This is I can't even say how honored I am to be here. For real. I really mean that. This is crazy to me. I've never done anything like this before. This is my first time doing something like this, and so this will be a highlight of my life for a very long time. It's like you guys giving me an opportunity, and even watching my episode, it's just an episode. It's not like a star role, but the fact that I made any type of impression on you guys is like really from the bottom of my heart. I really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for letting me be here.
Thank you so much for coming. Miss Zakiyyah, can you tell the fans where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Zakiyyah W_.
Camaron, can you tell the people where they can find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Cam Divine Engels. Yes, that is Cam Divine Engels. I also have a website, CamaronEngels.com. And yeah, I post all my stuff on Instagram, so just add me on there.
Hey guys, you can find me at Real Chae Jones on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me Mondays at 8 p.m. on Grand Hotel and Tuesdays 7 p.m. on Good Trouble. See you guys part 2.
Bye. Yeah. Let's go. Hey.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.